Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor for today's video, and that's Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions of people come together to make the next step in their artistic journey. There are thousands of classes that you can choose from in topics such as fine arts, creative writing, graphic design, photography, and more. Most classes are under 60 minutes with a short lesson that fits any schedule. The first 1,000 people who click the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. If you are interested in more classes on how to develop your artistic style, Skillshare has 3 more instructors, Rita Sharon, Stephanie Coleman, and Terry Runyon, who all give you their unique perspective. Hi guys, welcome back. Today is another comprehensive color blending 2 lesson. If you would like to get the paperwork for this course, it's in the description box below. Today we're going to be moving on a little bit different direction. Now, we still have the bottoms of the pictures, but we have a lot more on this to do. But we were going to work on the leaves today. And instead of working on the leaves on that picture, I think it's better that I give the leaf lesson. And that will make the other lesson so much easier. So today we're going to skip ahead, and you're going to print out the leaf picture. So I've colored really quickly some of the mistakes that I've seen that people make when they're doing leaves. And we have the outside dark, the inside light. Okay, in a coloring book world. Then we have the infamous outside light, inside dark with the Posca line going down the middle. You know we all do that. You know it. Then, of course, we have the stripes, and those drive me crazy. You can get away with this and make it look good. There is no leaves out there that look good with the stripe. It's just all sorts of wrong. And then, of course, we have to add in the infamous Posca line. And then, of course, we have my absolute favorite, the one that looks like a pit bull had given birth. And you know when they roll over on their back, they've got all those teats? Oh, that's what this reminds me of, the underbelly of a pregnant pit bull. And we all do these leaves too. And I don't know, I think it might be the books that lead us in that direction. But, ew, no. We're going to do leaves today the way they're supposed to be done. So, we've all done bad leaves. I'm included, because when I started coloring books, I did my leaves just that way. And I know leaves can be boring, and you get a picture, and you're doing a floral, and there's just hundreds of leaves on the page, and after a while, they all look alike. We got to stop that mentality, because leaves are a way of bringing your picture to life, especially when you're doing florals. And they don't look alike, and I don't know why they draw them like that either. Because they do draw them that way, so it's not the coloring book community's fault either. Now, my ideal leaf would look like this if they put that in a coloring book, because I'm wide open to do whatever I want on here. Now, this is a personal picture of mine. It's my lemon leaves, and I wanted to show you a lemon leaf. Now, it's been really super hot here in the desert. I mean, really hot. So my leaves are a little curled right now. And I wanted to show you a leaf. Now, this is the top side of the leaf. Okay? You've got the vein. And very light veins going through the top. Almost invisible. But if you turn it over, is where all the magic is. Because actually, on every leaf, the vein is on the underside of the leaf. And that's something I've been wanting to tell people for so long. When we color, we often color it upside down. Now, you could see the vein on here. But your shadow mark is very light. There's very little shadow on it. But if you turn the leaf over, you could see a heavy shadow mark going right down the sides. So it only makes sense that when a leaf is upside down and has its belly to the sun, for whatever reason, they normally grow like this, but everybody knows they get all twisted on the plants and they do have underside leaves. This is the side where you go really crazy raising up that vein. Not so much on the top. Now I have another leaf here to show you. And I really should have put gloves on to touch this plant because these are, I wouldn't say they're mildly poisonous to dogs and babies. You don't want to be eating this leaf. I forgot the name of it. If you look at the top side of the leaf, there is a vein, but there is absolutely no shadow mark on the vein because the vein is colored on the leaf. It's not raised. If you turn the leaf over, you could see the leaf, the veins are all on the underside. And that's where you would have your shadow mark, the heavier one. When you look at a bunch of leaves, and this is what I wanted to show you why I took such a big bunch of leaves, take a look at the colors on this leaf. They're all the same. Every leaf has the same color. They're genetically identical to each other. They've got individual marks, like the edge of this one has been eaten away. There's individual marks and stuff and sizes, but the color of the leaf are basically the same. So I've seen people using way too much color on leaves. Now, of course, if a leaf is like a Crolius, I think it's called, they have wild colored leaves. Crodius. Coleus. We don't have them here in the desert. I used to have them in New York. They're beautiful. And they're just leaves, but the leaves are like flowers. They're gorgeous. You're going to be picking out only a dark, a medium, and a light. Because really, that's all you really need. The rest on here is all shading. Now, when you shade, you're not changing the color of the hue. It's the same color. You're changing the color value. Remember we talked about color, we've been talking about color value. That it could be the same hue. Now, let me get out a pencil. That's what these marks on the boxes are for. I have this color, and I'm picking this color out as my mid-tone color. I need something lighter than this, which would have the same undertone. Now, this undertone has a yellow undertone. You go to your color wheels and you check. This has a yellow undertone. That's how you're going to be able to tell using that. You want to get a pencil that has the same yellowish undertone, and I have one here. I can technically use this as my light. Then I'm going to want a darker undertone. Now with greens, you're not going to have a hard time finding color tone analogous in your boxes. Even cheap sets are overrun with greens. Especially if you're buying the Chinese pencils, they think that we're all obsessed with plants. They have tons of green in there. So if I wanted to darken this, I would take my medium color, or I would find a darker color, but here I'm going to take my medium, and I'm going to go with a gray. And of course, what color would you pick? You would pick the warm color gray, the green grays. It'll also work with French gray, which is really a green gray. So here we have three colors. For the leaves, I'm going to stick with those colors. I may change up this one I'm not using the color version to tell. I have the list for what I did find for the Prismacolor pencils over there, but you're going to pick out your three. On the leaves, what brings the magic to the leaf is not so much the decoration on the leaves, because you got to remember, leaves are leaves. They're not really the focal point of your picture. That's why people find them kind of boring. They're just the negative space is where leaves usually go. You can't forget that in that negative space, there's going to be shadows. And I once had somebody ask me, well, they're just leaves. Why do I have to shadow them? Because they're leaves, and if you're going to shadow anything on your picture, it should be the leaf. So it's not as difficult to do a leaf as it is to make sure you have your shadows in there. And what's nice about a bunch of leaves is as long as you have your shadows coming from the same direction, the shape of the shadow really doesn't matter because they fall on top of each other. So here you have this leaf is going on top of this leaf. Your shadow would be right in the middle. Nobody ever does that. Everybody's going to go for that outside light and the inside dark, or the inside dark and the outside light. Those are fantasy flowers. They don't exist in nature like that. Now look at this area in here. Now, if you have taken Comprehensive Color Blending 1, do you remember when we did the grapes? The grapes are a great example of how you do leaves, because your leaves go in the same way. Now, why would I do this leaf the same way as I do this leaf? Here, in this leaf, it's much lighter because my lighting source is hitting it. And back there, just like the grapes, right here, it's the same color hue. You're not changing your colors up. You're changing your value up. Okay? And then all of a sudden, it gets dark going that way. Now, I want to remind you something, that leaves can shadow more than one. Now, I want you to take a look at, let's see, where is it? Okay, it's here. This leaf is shadowing this, but it's also giving a little bit of darkness over here, even though the predominant leaf that's, this one is shadowing this one is shadowing this one, but you've got shadow coming really from this onto here, making it even darker, because it's, if you flatten it out, this is really on top of that, and then that's on top of that in a three-way. So this is the way you're going to handle leaves. I chose this picture because the leaves kind of twisted around, and we have both sides of the leaf. Now, your top part can be completely different. That's why there's a lot of greens here. If you look at the color picture, this bottom part of the leaf is a different hue. It is a completely different color. The undertone can be very similar. So you're not going to have a purple upper side and a, orange backside. But on here, it's definitely different colors. You're going to, here is the backside of a leaf, where the leaf rises up and down the middle, and you could see it right there. You're going to have your shadow line. Now, leaves that are up to the sun often fold in that direction. Now, if you look at this leaf, it's folding up like this. What happens when we make a V? There's always a shadow going down the middle. Even when it's slight, you'll always have from the upper part, when a leaf is folding, shadow from here to here. Just like we do V's in buildings or arrows whenever you have a point and you want that point, like say you have like a building, and we'll just put that here, and okay, so here you have two buildings. Okay, just some fast doors on your buildings. Because the building is V'ing in, your shadow would become much darker where that V is, where that corner is. Okay? And we've got that line in there when both of these sides are folding in. Okay? And then it would get, of course, lighter as we go out and join the light. This was all covered in Comprehensive Color Blending 1. And of course I'd have to work that color in. So here is your leaf. What are you going to do with them? Okay? Well, if you look on it, this is light. All under here, and of course I don't have the right pencil. All the under part, you're going to go to your darks or your mediums. And you could see that it's really, really dark. So your really, really dark area is going to be in here. Take it to the medium level. Remember, we don't go darkest until later, way later in the picture. I'm going to look where it is on my picture. So here is this. And it sort of goes upward. This is the dark, which I'm doing medium. Then we have it very, very light on the top. Okay, it's very obvious that it's very light. Okay, then it gets over here. You see that it sort of goes an arc here. Just like that. Okay, and this is all dark. It's got a little fold there. And I'm going to use my mid-tone pencil and I'm going to make it dark. Okay, remember we're working first layer, just roughing in our lights and darks. We'll get into the details later on, of course. And so on. On this, you would look at the shadow. There's going to be a shadow that comes down here. This is going to be darker. I'm just roughing it in as being dark. And then your leaf, of course, is dark. Okay, remember first layer. Then over here, we've got it sort of bending and going in, and I'm going to put that dark in there. Again, over here, we've got some dark going to the whole middle of this, having dark. Okay, now you could see, even in my rudimentary way of doing this, that my colors are nothing like, well, my leaves look nothing like this or anything else. And above everything, no two leaves are alike. On your pictures, your shadows and everything should never be the same. This leaf, and I see everybody does every leaf the same. You get caught up into doing this type of leaf and you do that type of leaf over the whole entire thing, and it's not going to come out as interesting as if you actually took the time and did your leaves. And leaves are as fun to do when you're doing it like this as your main part of the picture. It's part of it. Now, if you look at this leaf, it's pretty light, okay? But it's got a shadow. Now, my mid-tone pen pencil, pretending it's the dark. Don't use that dark yet. Going down the middle. Then it sort of gets dark on the edges until we get to about this box right here. And then it gets a little flared. And like that. Okay? Now, until I get this entire thing covered on my first layer, I'm not going to worry about my darks. And in fact, we haven't even done that step in the first. But what I want you to do is just this week is take this leaf. We don't have to fully develop it. The more important thing is for you to see your color values. And I want you to practice this. Do this leaf exactly like these leaves. You don't have to develop the whole thing. You don't have to go crazy with details. What I want you to do is just get used to not having it be the same. You can see on this top, on this, you have, and I'm doing it extremely fast. Of course, you would take probably several hours to do it. Okay? Then if you really, really want to go in and get your darks in, you can go in with, once it's completely covered, go in, let's see, on this. Where is your dark, really dark areas? Your picture will start as soon as you start putting those in, which are technically shadows. So the answer to that question from my subscriber that said, do I have to put in shadows? Well, yes, you do. They're going to make and break the entire picture. Okay? And you could see even going on here, once I start putting that dark into it, now you could be choosing 3 different pencils. I'm just doing it in the gray, and you can choose the gray if you want to do that, depending on your set. If you don't have a really darker green with the same undertone. Okay? Then you take your medium color and you blend it in. Remember, from the other class, what I don't want to see anybody doing, and these leaves are better, so this is a better example of what you should be doing. There is none of this. Okay? You'll ruin your picture. We don't want to see that heavy dark line on the edge. Work outer in. Now I destroyed this. I could get that darker to get rid of it. We don't want to see the lines on the edges of the green. See, on this, they don't have that. There's no darker edge. There's no darker edge going around this leaf. Now, on the other picture, a little bit over here, there is a little bit, and that's the color of the leaf. Now, remember, when you're doing it with this, unfortunately, I did pick this picture. I kind of regret it because I didn't even think, but the picture, the color picture is so pretty that when we get this whole thing built up, you're going to see how nice it's going to look, and it's not going to look as outlined. If you want to start working on this picture, go to your color picture only. And the things that you have to remember on this picture, okay, on these leaves, there is 2 different things coming in with this. This is the leaf right here. right here. This over here, this structure is translucent. It's what's happening inside the flower. The flower leaves are all translucent. So you just got to keep in mind, that's why I wish I didn't start with this picture, because it's a little bit harder. But you have to take into consideration your colors and try to match up these colors as being different. Okay? So if you want to wait until next week before you work with that, that'll be fine. We're going to finish up this flower next week. It's going to be completely done. We're moving on to another flower. And I want to see some of your leaves. We're going to develop the leaf in the same way at the same time. So when we do the final of this, we're going to do the final on this, because we're working from the bottom up, and it should work out nicely. So we're hitting the half-hour mark on here. I want to see your pictures. I know there's a lot of people who just started, and that's okay. Show me your before pictures. I have up in the cards, you can pull down an entire playlist of all the classes that we've done so far to get to this point. We are working on realism. That's why it's so slow, and I'm taking you step by step, because it's not like a coloring book. We're doing this in realism, and realism takes a long time. So, and I'm taking baby steps with you guys. So for those of you who are just starting out, we're not far into the course. There's about 8 lessons that I've done. They're all in the playlist. Go to the first and just go right through them. You will catch up. And if you even want to work slower than that, you don't have to. I'm accepting all pictures at all different levels, but there are people who now are handing me in pictures. You got to tell me what level, like what class that you've done. I just would need that, because there's people that are handing me in things that I need to correct, but then they say, oh, well, I haven't done that class yet. Oh, okay, then for that point, you're doing good. Carry on. So just let me know what class you're working in, and I will help you out with that. I have people that are just sending me their stuff just to check. Am I okay? And I want to see that. So keep up the good work. I know everybody is doing really well with this. We're going to be working on these pictures for a long time. This is going to be a long series. I'm not going to push you through this class fast. It just, if I'm going to take you through realism, I'm taking you step by step. Okay, guys? I will see you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.